Chapter 101. Dark Rays. Heph had completed his explanation when, suddenly, I saw the phenomenon happening, just as he had described. It looked like a mirage appearing in the desert or over a hot road, but this looked darker, more like a dark ray. Look over there, the portal has opened, can you see it? Heph pointed to the top of the pyramid. Yes, I do, I confirmed. Then the spaceships started to fly into the dark column. As soon as a ship disappeared in the ray, a white bright beam rose high up in a straight line over the pyramid and vanished less than a second later. One after the other, the rest of the ships followed, and as the fleet was flying in continuously, the beam of light became stable and turned into one white column. Be prepared, Heph warned me, we only have 4 minutes before the portal closes again. All ships were now flying into the beam one right after the other, and the light remained as a straight line pointing far into space. Then it was our turn. Heph slowly moved the ship towards the beam over the pyramid. I was very excited as I remembered how I had first entered into this world through the Quaternary Stones portal. Back then, I had been too surprised and scared by what was happening that I had my eyes closed during the event. But this time I knew what was going to happen and I wanted to see everything consciously. I didn't want to close my eyes this time, not even for a second, to experience this moment as intensely as possible. All right, I'm going to increase the speed now to reach the required velocity of the portal, Heph announced. Okay, I'm ready, I responded. Heph soared straight into the bright white ray while I kept my eyes wide open so that I would not miss anything. 1 second later, everything around the ship changed. The bright blue sky suddenly turned dark, covered with gray clouds. I looked down and noticed that the lush green forest below had become a yellow-brownish patch of land that looked more like a desert, before the ship suddenly stopped and remained suspended motionless in space again. We have arrived in your world, said Heph. What? I exclaimed, we've already arrived? I think so, Heph commented with a smile. This is my first time here on Gaia, and according to Master Ruthorn's directives, our journey ends now. I was wondering what would happen the moment we dived into the black hole and were transferred from one dimension to another. I thought that a stranger phenomenon would have occurred in the wormhole. Are you sure that we have really arrived at our destination? I asked. Yes, I'm absolutely sure, Heph said confidently. Where were the lightning sounds, the mist and the smoke that the others have described? I didn't see any of this, I commented. Ah, there's a simple explanation, Heph replied. You couldn't hear any sounds because our spaceship is well insulated and soundproof. We can't hear a thing, not even a bolt of lightning. And you didn't see any mist or smoke because our spaceship travels at a very high speed. If we would have flown as slowly as your planes, you would have seen these phenomena. Now I'll take you to the position from which you left this world, Heph said. Oh, all right, I said, feeling a bit disappointed. It was not as exciting as I had thought, because it was almost too easy to get here. Nearby, the other spaceships that had arrived earlier before us clustered together in groups as if they were waiting for something. I looked down and noticed a large pyramid below, which seemed to be as large as the one in the other world, only with different surroundings. This place looks like a desert, doesn't it? I asked Heph. You're right. This region is one of the areas in your world where most portals are built, and this is where in the past the majority of us lived. This is also why many myths about gods originated from here, he explained. Let me guess, I interjected. I believe we are in Egypt. Yes, that's right, Heph confirmed. I had never had any particular and prior thoughts about the world's environment. I had always known that there were deserts in that area, but since I had been to the parallel world Tuangra, I could see the huge differences between the two worlds. I could imagine how Heph and the others, who came to my world for the first time, must have felt. They must have thought that my world was a bleakly decadent land, finding themselves in such a dry and dusty landscape so different to their clean and bright world. Then the dark rays disappeared, and I noticed some movements that indicated all the spaceships had arrived. The fleet reorganized by dividing itself into 4 groups, each group forming an even-shaped triangle and each triangle arranged one over another. At first, they remained separated, but then each triangle rotated and turned its angles into different directions before they were finally aligned at the same level. In the end, the formation looked like a huge star with multiple points. What are they doing? I asked Heph. Oh, they're forming a symbol. Now, all of them have become one single group with the same goal. The alignment is done to divide the teams into 4 groups. Each group will consist of 36 spaceships, arranged into 4 overlapping triangles, exposing the 12 angles. This maneuver has 2 purposes. Firstly, to divide the areas of responsibility, and secondly, to form the symbol that announces to everyone that the person whom the universe has been waiting for has finally emerged, Heph explained. It looks a bit like the Star of Judaism, but it's slightly different because there are 4 overlapping triangles, I commented. That's true. But why don't we join them now? Because you're the reason for the appearance of this symbol, Heph replied. All the highly evolved beings who have traveled with us told me that they've never done this before. And this is the very first time that this is happening. And everything because of me? I asked, incredulously. Yes, he confirmed. This symbol represents the supreme identity of God. It's the announcement that his representative has come. The Jewish symbol you mentioned earlier represents humanity with its imperfections. It has 2 overlapping triangles and 6 points, while the symbol of perfection has 12 points. There are 148 spaceships in total, divided into 4 groups of 36 ships each, which adds up to 144, thus, leaving 4 ships remaining. 2 of them won't join any group as they are piloted by highly evolved beings like Master Ruthorn, and their duty is to guide the 4 groups. Pete and I have the privilege of not joining as well since we have you with us. Our duties are to follow the 2 ships with the highly evolved beings and to take care of you and protect you during your stay in this world. So, the 2 of you will take care of me? I asked. That's right, Heph confirmed, but we will only take care of you from a distance. Everything will still depend on the choices you make. We will only keep an eye on how the situation evolves, especially events that could have serious consequences for you and the people around you. We will find a way to slow them down or avoid them altogether, if necessary, so that you and the others won't face any obstacles while you carry out your duty. The people around me? You mean everyone who stays in close proximity to me? I asked. Not necessarily those who stay physically close to you, but those people who chose to follow your guidance. Given the urgency of the mission, we will identify those people with the potential to release the maximum positive frequency, especially those who are prepared to listen and embrace your commandment. There will be many people around you when you emerge in Gaia, but rest be assured, we will keep a lookout for you and your true followers, Hep said. What about the people with positive frequency at a lower level? Will you look out for them as well? No, I won't. I've set the standard value to only register the maximum level. Those who can only release a small amount of positive frequency, or only at a low level, will have to let their fates decide their outcomes. The ones who deserve to live in the new energy era must be able to release the maximum positive or love frequency. There can be no exceptions and no compromise because the intensity of the magnetic field generated by the new world will not be favorable to the cells in their bodies. I mean, although they can transition to the new energy era, they won't be able to survive as their bodies won't be able to align with the value of the new world's magnetic field. That sounds so cruel, I said. If you see it in the context of the quest for victory, this seems cruel, Hep replied, but in the context of achieving universal love, I think it's quite reasonable. It means having to leave some people to be buried in the abyss of hell, so that those who are ready and more suitable can proceed with their duties. This will allow the entire system to flourish and keep the entire universe alive. If you compare that objective to the number of lost causes, it's still justifiable, especially if you consider that many of those lost often impede the progress of others. Your mission has begun, and everything depends on you from now on. All this power is for you to use wisely, so use it to follow His will. And always remember that you are not alone, he added. Thank you for reminding me, I will do my best, I replied. A few seconds later, Hep and Pete steered their spaceships towards a forest. Hep guided his ship to gradually descend and landed on an empty clearing on top of a hill, while Pete's ship hovered above us. After we had landed on the ground, the door of the ship opened. I'm sorry that I have to leave you here in the deep forest, but I'm doing that to avoid being observed by human eyes, he excused himself. Don't worry, Hep, and thank you for everything, I replied, before leaving the spaceship. Goodbye, Uriah, I heard Hef's voice from inside the ship before the door closed again. I walked away from Hef's ship and noticed how the outer surface started to illuminate again. After a few seconds, his ship rose and hovered beside Pete's before they both soared up into the sky and disappeared.